Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. So today marks the start of a kind of new direction of this process. I'm kind of nervous because, there could be a lot of judgment. I have been speaking about doing this since the very start of this project. I've wanted to get involved, I've wanted to do more of the work myself, but I've just never taken that step. So ever since the initial video of this project, where I took down the kitchen with my dad, I've pretty much hired out every part of this renovation to professionals because I didn't want to mess anything up. I wanted it done correctly. But as time went on, I kind of started to feel like I was getting into a bit of a slump, and just more recently I went into a bit of a bigger Donald slump where I just felt like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm not really learning, I'm not really growing, and there's a good opportunity, there's a good canvas here to learn to do a lot of the things that I'd like to do. So for the next part of this renovation, I am going to give it my best shot where I can. I'm going to be sensible about the jobs that I pick to do. For example, demolishing these back rooms is not a job where you can go that wrong. Like, obviously you can cut through wires or cut off a finger. Thankfully I did neither of those things, but I did mess up at parts and I will show that. But for the most part, there's not really much that can go wrong with this, and I think going forward that's the approach that I'm going to take. I'm going to kind of assess the jobs and see, right, what is the risk here, what is the reward, what can I learn by doing different parts of these jobs. So in this video I'm obviously destroying the back bedrooms. The reason I'm doing this is because they weren't properly insulated. Behind the plasterboard it was just polystyrene and then the brick wall, so needed to take down the plasterboard, take out the polystyrene with a view to putting in new proper insulation. There was kind of a question of whether or not the timber frame which the insulation fits into would be good condition, and thankfully after taking off the plasterboard I found out that it was good condition, so there's no need to strip all of that out, and that's good because that means that I save time, money and effort, and that probably would have been a job that I might have handed off to someone else or got a bit of help with. Thankfully don't have to cross that bridge. So I should say that obviously in the past I was using a variety of different people. I've not fallen out with anyone. Obviously the main man is Sean Paul. He's the one that helped out and did an amazing job of the work that he did. In other parts of the house we're still on good terms. There's nothing like no like personal rifts or that. I would still recommend him to anyone wanting a joiner, anyone wanting a kind of full service project management, renovation, whatever it is you need, he could do it. It's just, like I said, purely coming from this place of slumpness that I was going through, where I felt like I've got this opportunity now to do a fairly low risk renovation. At the other side of the house it was things like putting in the kitchen, re-roofing the place, and what else was there? There was like a lot of plumbing work, electrician work that I just wouldn't touch and still won't touch those things. I don't want to do anything that will kill me or anyone else around me. But yeah, like I said earlier, I'm going to be assessing the jobs, and anything that isn't too wild I will be doing myself, because I think this learn by doing approach is the best. You learn from your mistakes, which as you can see right now, I do.
Of course, this is new insulation that's there, Georgie.
Yeah, that's fine though.
Aye, aye. Which makes me wonder why we're taking this down. Fuck.
So easily mended, that one. I think that was just like an oversight. Got too happy with the hammer and just didn't really think about how the insulation in the loft was perfectly good. So there was really no need to take down that ceiling part, but that's easily fixed just by putting up a little bit more plasterboard. I wish I could say that was the only screw up that I had with this process. I had a second one. With that room cleared out, I went in and started on the little room, which is going to be the bedroom. That other big room is going to be the office, and I started taking the sledgehammer to this wall, just thinking it was hollow like the rest of them, and kind of either insulated with polystyrene or nothing. But after taking down this panel, I wish I could say that I'm a quick learner, but I started hitting this with the sledgehammer because I thought this was the back of the foil backed plasterboard. You get plasterboard that's kind of like foil backed. I thought this was just the other side of the plasterboard. So here's me. This is how long it took me to come to the conclusion that this wasn't plasterboard. It was insulation, and that just like the ceiling, that middle partition wall didn't need to come down either. You learn by doing. So there will be little parts like this going forward when I'm doing the work where I will mess up, and I'm going to show them because I'm assuming there'll be people watching this as well that will want to do similar things, and then they can just avoid making the mistakes that I do. So I'm offering a public service here. In particular, the jobs that I'm looking to do myself, which I felt like aren't that high risk, are things like putting in insulation and putting up new plasterboard, perhaps putting in new skirting, and then maybe putting down the hardwood flooring, because I felt like a lot of these things are just kind of intricate, kind of jigsaw-esque type deals where there isn't too much that can go wrong. Obviously, I will do research on these things so that I can figure out what can go wrong and I can avoid them, but it's things like that, kind of low-level introductory jobs, which I'm assuming are low-level introductory jobs, which I'll be taking on. For things like putting in new wiring for different parts, or putting in new radiators, things that there is a risk of burning down the building or flooding my downstairs neighbour, I'm going to be cautious and I'm going to pull in other people because I don't want to put myself at risk, but more than anything, I don't want to cause anyone else hassle by me getting struck down with a bit of a midlife crisis and a touch of narcissism and kind of naivety about what I can do myself. So I'm going to try and be sensible as much as I can with this. Now, to speak a little bit about the job at hand, I think in my initial tour video I spoke about taking down this cupboard in the bedroom because I felt it was just wasted space. A lot of people weren't that happy with that decision, but I've kind of stuck by that decision because I do just feel it is wasted space, and with all these walls taken up, I'm going to do my best to try and make fitted storage in the cavities that are left. So that's going to be my kind of hope for this room. One big worry that I had, which my mum kind of fed into, was that there might be asbestos in the ceiling, and she brought this up after I had kind of drilled into the ceiling and had it kind of all fall down all over me. So I was quite worried about getting lung cancer or something like that. Obviously not a nice thing to have. I don't even know how to cook meth, so I don't know how I would get out of that tricky situation. So to kind of look after myself a little bit, or at least ease my worries or know what I was up against, I sent off for an asbestos kit where you basically just like spray the roof, like dampen it down a little bit, chisel off a little bit, and then you pack it up and send it off to them and they analyse it. Thankfully the results came back a few days later and it turns out I was not the father. No, it turned out there was no asbestos, so I don't have to worry about anything like that, which I'm very relieved about, because it's the sort of thing that you just, once it's done, once you're already worrying about it, I don't know, it's very hard to talk yourself out of that worry. I don't really have that much health anxiety, which is strange because I do have a lot of anxieties about a lot of things, but in terms of like thinking about my own mortality, it's not something that bothers me that much. But then when I have asbestos kind of falling down all over my face, even with a mask, not something that I was too delighted with, and it was something that was keeping me up at night a little bit. Now, coming back to what I was saying about the kind of fitted storage space in this room, one thing that I thought I would do was take out this wall and kind of knock it back to that recessed bit. You'll see that little cupboard there, which is where the electrical unit is. The bit above that and just kind of behind it, it goes quite far back and it's kind of just like hollow space. And I assumed that went across the whole wall. It was only when I took off this bit of plasterboard that I realised, oh no, there's actually a big stone wall right where that kind of recessed space ends, I guess. So I was kind of disappointed about that because I thought there was a good opportunity to get like a massive big like fitted wardrobe across that wall. So instead I'll just have to make do with making a kind of little fitted wardrobe cupboard above the electrical unit. And speaking of fitted space, I discovered another fireplace in this bedroom, when I started hitting through this wall. In the other room, sorry, you could see there was another fireplace in there. For some reason there was like an old like sweater vest, like a knitted vest in the fireplace, and also like a towel or a skirt. I don't know what it was. It kind of looks like what the Grinch wears when he's trying out different outfits for the Jubilations. I don't know. It wasn't my size. This whole wall was kind of fusty. I don't really know what the crack was here, but it was kind of all discoloured and green. It was like someone had put wallpaper straight onto a kind of stone wall. So what I'm going to do with this wall in the next episode is chisel it off, because there are like big stones behind it, like there was in the other room, but they're kind of hidden behind a layer of plaster. So I'm going to chisel that off and then repoint that wall so it's all kind of safe and secure and looking nice. Maybe a bit overkill, but I just kind of felt like gone to all the effort to take all the walls down, might as well do a little bit of TLC. I don't know what TLC means. I'm going to have to Google that after. Is it tender love and care? I don't know. Overall, the walls in general, apart from that big gouge that I took out of the middle partition wall, are actually in very good condition. It's just kind of this one wall here to my left that wasn't that good. So we'll get that sorted out. And on the other side, where there was the other fireplace in that other bedroom, the wall was kind of just a bit damp. So I'm going to leave a little electric heater running to dry that out. Maybe put in a dehumidifier like I did for the wall in the hallway. One thing I forgot to say about the little fireplace is that the guy that I bought this place from is the same guy that I bought the tiny house from, and his dad used to live in this building here that I'm in right now, and in that other bedroom he used to get, it's like, I don't know if they had weekly baths back in the day, but his dad used to get a bath in like a little tin bath in front of that fire, sorry. So there's a little bit of history about how people used to wash their ghoulies in what will soon be my home office. Now this little recessed cupboard here, I took it apart because I want to rebuild it as like a nicely finished cupboard. The final part that I was doing here was just taking apart the little electrical unit and seeing what was behind this final part of wall, and this was actually quite a good surprise to end this video on. Got my skinny arms out again. In future videos I'm going to wear long sleeve t-shirts because I can't believe the skinniness on my arms. But there's a window. Although it would be kind of nice to leave this window, I don't think I will. I think this space would be better used for extra storage, but let me know what you think. Would you keep this window in the bedroom, or would you board it up and make this into extra storage? Let me know. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd appreciate you leaving a like and subscribing for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.